Hey guys, I'm Samantha, and this is my 91 Honda Civic. I brought it into FinishLine because I'm going to do a little bit of a makeover. We're hoping to swap the motor and give it some love because it clearly needs it. I've had this car for maybe about 4 years, and I've kind of just been brewing on what I want to do, and I've finally got some ideas. So today we're going to see how much power it makes as a stock D series, and you guys can tag along and see what comes next. How you doing, Smokey? A little more that time.
62 and 86.
Wow. Pretty neat.
Whoever said 60 earlier, that's a good guess.
Right? Yeah.
That's a really good guess.
Jordan didn't have a bad guess, that's for sure. This thing takes a lot longer to redline than that Subaru did.
62 horsepower.
Yep, this thing's a quick little thing.
I'm surprised it's packing that much.
Honestly, I kind of am too. I did not expect it to really do that much. With how much it's been struggling, driving it around and such, I really didn't expect much out of it.
Let's see if we can squeeze a little bit more out of it.
I'm down.
Let me find the spray bottle.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Yep, so when this is flashing red, that means the brake is on.
Okay.
So you push it, it releases the brake. Push it again, it applies the brake.
Okay.
So when you get to the RPM you want, you hit the green button.
Sounds good.
Floor it, and then when you're done, hit the red button first.
Okay.
It kind of doesn't matter what order, but just remember to hit the red one first so you slow down the dyno first.
Sounds
and then
good.
You can hit the green button again, it brings up the graph, or I can do that afterwards.
Sounds good.
Cool.
We can do that. It's alive!
Alright.
Okay. It's like, it didn't change.
87 torque. We got like most of one more torque. Like, what it has is what it has.
It gave it all it's got.
Alright. Well, there you go. That's our baseline. Short of finding the nitrous and really sending it to the moon.
Right.
That'll be good.
It's a good start.
Some of you might remember from a few weeks back where we did this exact same thing to a different Honda we had on the dyno, and it actually picked up a fair amount of power. And the difference lies within the fact that the Honda we did last time has port fuel injection, or the MPFI system, and this Honda has throttle body injection, or the dual point injection system is what it's known as from Honda. And this dual point injection system was designed for economy. As a matter of fact, the same car with the MPFI stuff on it, I think made 10 more horsepower, which is pretty good, you know, when the car only made like 70 to begin with. And that limitation does not come from the fuel injectors themselves. It actually comes from the throttle plate opening, like the diameter of the throttle blade in the throttle body is smaller on this dual point injection than it is on the later multi-point injection systems. If you think back to like NASCAR, like Winston Cup cars, and how they used to have restrictor plates in racing, that actually limits the Venturi opening size, which limits the overall power. And Honda didn't do this to actually limit the power of the car. They did this to maintain velocity of the air intake to balance economy and torque. So when you when you port a cylinder head, for example, and you open up the ports super large, they can flow more air volume, but it's air velocity that makes torque, and that's why you end up shifting your power band higher and higher. And so having that smaller throttle blade opening gives you more usable power in the lower RPM range and a little bit better fuel economy. So that's why they did that.
So looking at the horsepower and torque, what exactly does that mean?
Okay, so the dyno doesn't actually measure horsepower. It's a calculated function from torque. And you'll often hear the term foot-pound, which is how we measure the torque. And what that means is that if you were to take a bar that was 1 foot long and put 1 pound on the end of it, that is 1 foot-pound of force.
Okay.
And so the dyno, it has these, they're called eddy absorbers, which is kind of like a reverse electric motor that absorbs the energy that the car is putting into the dyno. And that is sort of free-floating in there, like it can potentially twist. And we have a little thing in there called a load cell, which is like this tiny thing. It's like, 2 or 3 inches long, and it couples the absorber to the frame of the dyno. And when you floor it in the car and it applies a load to the dyno, it squeezes that and makes a small electric current. And then the computer takes that signal and interprets that as foot-pounds of torque.
Okay.
And then it takes some other things and applies some math to it and gives you like a calculated horsepower. And you'll sometimes hear the term like corrected versus uncorrected horsepower. And so what that means is, since we're up here 1 mile above sea level, the air density is different, so engines will make less power up here than they would down at sea level,
right,
where the air is more dense.
Absolutely.
The denser the air, the more fuel you can feed into the engine, the more power you can make. And so up here, or anywhere for that matter, we had to come up with this standard that allowed everybody to sort of compare their results with varying atmospheric conditions and air densities and everything else. And so when you hear the term corrected, that is sort of corrected to that set of standard conditions. And so there's actually several different standards that you can potentially choose from. If I recall correctly, a standard day is like sea level, so 0 feet above sea level at like 65 degrees outside. And we have a little barometer attached to the dyno, so it measures the air temperature in here and the air pressure. Okay. And that actually factors into those correction calculations. And so I'll actually show you how we read that over here. So if I pull this up, so down here you see correction factor 1.19.
Right.
And so you can kind of drop the decimal point and then treat that as a percentage. So 1.00 would be 100%, which means that would be exactly equal to a sea level run.
Okay.
And so the 1.19 means is that we're actually correcting that measured power by 19%. We're adding 19% to the actual number to come up with the corrected wheel horsepower.
I see.
So even though your car says it made 62 horsepower here and 87 foot-pounds, that's corrected. And so if we pull up uncorrected... All right, so now that I've gone back and put the uncorrected values up on the screen, you can see that we're more than 10 horsepower less and 10 foot-pounds less versus what the corrected number was for sea level.
That makes way more sense to me.
Yeah, it's like that much more anemic now. Damn it. But once again, having the corrected numbers allows people to compare results. So somebody with the same car...
somewhere else.
You know, in Florida, put it down on the dyno, you'd be able to compare your numbers and setups with them and be able to figure out whether or not that actually made a difference and stuff like that.
That makes sense.
So, yeah, that's a little bit about how that works. Did it make what you expected it was going to make?
Honestly, I really didn't expect it to get to 60, but, I mean, we got it to 62, so I'd say it did better than I thought. It's definitely fun getting used to the dyno and like actually having a car that I'm really comfortable with and driving on it. So that was kind of fun. Like this car doesn't do a whole lot, but it was fun having something I'm comfortable with to be on the dyno with for sure. It made it a lot less nerve-wracking.
Well, we hope you enjoyed that first installment in Sam's Honda Build series. Join us next time as we prepare for the K-Series power plant by removing the old engine and cleaning the engine compartment out. If you liked this video, be sure to give us a thumbs up. And if you want to see future episodes, be sure to click that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications. We'll see you soon.